welcome to our deep dive, into Hymn 3 by Chithambaram Ramalinga Swamy. Now, this isn't just any poem.
Right.
It's really like a powerful exploration of how we can achieve a higher understanding of life and the universe.
Interesting.
And it speaks to that.
Yeah.
I think universal human desire for meaning and connection.
Yeah.
Something that we all search for in some way.
It's fascinating how this hymn, written centuries ago, can still be so relevant today.
Exactly.
It reminds us that this yearning for understanding isn't new at all.
Right.
It's woven into the very fabric of human experience.
So let's jump right into the poem.
Yeah.
It starts with this really compelling call for humility. And I'm curious to get your perspective on this.
Okay.
It's not just about good manners.
Absolutely.
This feels like a much deeper kind of humility.
It's about acknowledging the limits of our knowledge.
Right.
Recognizing that we don't have all the answers. A lot of philosophical and spiritual traditions emphasize this beginner's mind, a state of openness and curiosity, which is essential for true learning.
I see.
Without that humility, we're just not really receptive to new ideas and experiences.
And the poem goes on to say,
Okay.
Be humble and bow, for only then can you sing, O world.
Right.
This image of singing really struck me.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on what that singing represents in this context?
It's a beautiful metaphor, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it points to that idea of finding your authentic voice, expressing your truth in a way that's harmonious with the world around you.
Yeah.
But first, like the poem suggests, we need to cultivate that inner space of humility to truly listen before we can sing.
That's a really insightful way to put it. Listening as a prerequisite to authentic expression.
Yeah.
Now, the poem also mentions the path of Vedanta and the purity of its realization.
Right.
Could you break down Vedanta for us?
Yeah.
And its significance in the context of this hymn?
Vedanta is a vast and complex system of philosophy.
Right.
But at its core, it explores this idea of the unity of the self, Atman, with the ultimate reality.
Okay.
Brahman.
I see.
It's about realizing that underlying oneness that connects all things. And what's interesting here is that the poem emphasizes the purity of its realization.
Right.
This suggests that it's not just an intellectual understanding, but a lived experience, a direct and unfiltered perception of this interconnectedness.
So it's not just about reading about Vedanta in a book,
Exactly.
but about embodying its principles, feeling that interconnectedness on a visceral level.
Yeah.
This brings us to the concept of the ultimate state, which the poem describes as pure consciousness, free from ego and attachments.
Right.
It definitely sounds idyllic.
Yeah.
But is this state even attainable amidst the constant noise and distractions of modern life?
That's a question that has puzzled philosophers and spiritual seekers for centuries.
Yeah.
While achieving a constant state of pure consciousness might be challenging in our everyday lives.
Right.
The poem seems to suggest that it's not entirely out of reach.
Okay.
Think about those fleeting moments when you experience a sense of flow, deep connection with nature, or an act of selfless compassion.
Yeah.
In those instances, the ego recedes, and we get a glimpse of that peaceful, interconnected state of being.
Those moments of flow are so powerful.
They are.
And the poem goes on to mention harmonious resolution, which seems to suggest some kind of conflict being overcome.
Yeah.
What kind of conflict do you think the poem is referring to?
I believe it's a multi-layered concept. On a personal level, it could refer to resolving internal conflicts, like those between our desires and our values, or between our fears and our aspirations.
Right.
Externally, it could be about finding harmony in our relationships and navigating the complexities of the world around us.
I see.
And on a deeper level, it speaks to the human struggle to find meaning and purpose in a seemingly chaotic and unpredictable universe.
Okay.
The poem suggests that by cultivating inner peace and clarity, we can begin to resolve these various forms of conflict and experience a greater sense of harmony in our lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like finding that inner stillness amidst the storms of life, allowing us to respond to challenges with more wisdom and grace.
Yeah.
And speaking of wisdom, the poem states, "Truth is the essence of nature, the key to understanding."
Wow.
This line really jumped out at me. It suggests that truth isn't something abstract or hidden away, but rather it's woven into the fabric of reality itself.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the idea that nature itself is a teacher. If we only know how to listen.
Yeah.
But how do we access that truth?
Right.
The poem seems to suggest that mental clarity is key.
Precisely. By cultivating a calm and focused mind,
Right.
we can clear away the distractions and distortions that cloud our perception,
Okay.
allowing the truth to reveal itself more clearly.
Uh-huh.
It's like polishing a mirror so that it can reflect reality more accurately.
This idea of mental clarity also seems to resonate with some of the findings in modern neuroscience.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're learning more about the benefits of mindfulness and meditation for reducing stress, improving focus,
Right.
and even enhancing cognitive abilities.
It's remarkable how these ancient spiritual practices are now being validated by scientific research.
Yeah.
There's a growing body of evidence suggesting that quieting the mind can have profound effects on our well-being,
Right.
both mentally and physically.
It's like these two seemingly different paths,
Yeah.
spirituality and science,
Right.
are converging on this understanding of the power of the mind. And speaking of powerful ideas, the poem makes a pretty bold claim. When your mind is calm and your thoughts are clear, you'll be able to perceive the unseen and understand everything.
Wow.
Understand everything.
Yeah.
That's a pretty ambitious statement, wouldn't you say?
It certainly is. And it raises an important question.
Okay.
What does it actually mean to understand everything?
Right.
Do we mean comprehending every single detail of the universe?
Okay.
From the smallest subatomic particle to the vast expanse of space and time?
Yeah.
That seems unlikely.
Right.
Perhaps a more nuanced interpretation is that by cultivating mental clarity, we can gain a deeper understanding of the fundamental principles that govern reality.
Yep.
The interconnectedness of all things, the very essence of existence itself.
So it's not about knowing every fact or having all the answers,
Right.
but rather about developing a more holistic and profound understanding
Exactly.
how everything fits together.
And even if we can't grasp the totality of existence, the pursuit of understanding can still be profoundly transformative. It can lead to greater wisdom, compassion,
Yeah.
and a sense of awe and wonder in the face of the universe's mysteries.
And that journey of understanding seems to be deeply personal.
Yeah,
The poem doesn't prescribe a specific path or set of beliefs,
right.
but rather invites each of us to embark on our own unique quest for meaning.
That's one of the most beautiful aspects of this hymn. It empowers the individual to find their own truth,
Okay.
to explore their own unique relationship with the universe. There's no dogma or rigid set of rules,
Right.
only an invitation to cultivate inner stillness
Yeah.
and listen to the wisdom that arises from within.
I love how the poem doesn't shy away from these grand ideas,
Yeah.
but also emphasizes the importance of lived experience. It's not just about accumulating knowledge,
Right.
but about embodying that knowledge,
Yeah.
letting it shape our actions and interactions with the world.
That's where the real transformation happens.
Yeah.
When we bridge the gap between knowing and being,
Right.
we can read countless books and attend lectures,
Yeah.
but true understanding comes from integrating those teachings into our daily lives,
Okay.
allowing them to guide our choices and shape our character.
This feels especially relevant in our information-saturated world.
Oh, absolutely.
We're constantly bombarded with data and opinions, but it's easy to lose sight of the deeper meaning and application of that knowledge.
It's like the difference between eating a meal and savoring each bite. We can consume information mindlessly,
Right.
just to satisfy our curiosity,
Yeah.
or we can take the time to digest it,
Okay.
reflect on its implications, and allow it to nourish our understanding.
Right.
This poem seems to be encouraging us to savor the process of learning and understanding, to approach it with intention and a sense of reverence.
That analogy is perfect.
Yeah.
It's not just about the quantity of information we consume,
Right.
but the quality of our attention and how we integrate that knowledge into our lives.
Absolutely.
And speaking of paying attention,
Okay.
the poem mentions this intriguing idea of perceiving the unseen. What thoughts or images come to mind for you when you hear that phrase?
It's a fascinating concept, isn't it?
Right.
When I hear perceive the unseen,
right,
I think about those subtle connections and patterns that often go unnoticed in our everyday lives.
Right.
The synchronicities, the intuitive insights, the deeper meaning that lies beneath the surface of things.
I see.
It's about developing a more refined perception.
Okay.
A sensitivity to the nuances and complexities of reality.
I love that.
Yeah.
Tuning into those subtle signals that we often miss when we're rushing through life on autopilot.
Right.
It's almost like developing a sixth sense, a way of seeing beyond the obvious.
It's about cultivating that sense of wonder and curiosity that allows us to approach the world with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Remember, the poem starts with humility, recognizing that we don't have all the answers. This openness to the unknown is essential for perceiving the unseen.
And the poem goes on to suggest that this clarity of mind can lead us to understand everything.
Right.
Now, we've already discussed how that might not mean having a complete grasp of all knowledge.
Yeah.
But perhaps a more profound understanding of the underlying principles of existence. But if you could ask this ancient poet to clarify what they understood through this process,
wow,
what would your question be?
That's a wonderful question.
Yeah.
I think I would ask. What was the most surprising or unexpected insight that you gained on your journey of quieting the mind and perceiving the unseen?
Okay.
Because I imagine that along the way, there must have been moments of profound revelation, unexpected connections, and a deeper understanding of the mysteries of life.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And for our listeners, what about you? If your mind was perfectly calm and clear, what one thing would you yearn to understand more fully?
Right.
Is there a nagging question? A persistent doubt?
Yeah.
Or a mystery that you long to unravel? Take a moment to reflect on that.
Because sometimes simply articulating the question, bringing it into the light of awareness, can be the first step towards finding an answer.
Yeah.
It's like planting a seed of inquiry that, with time and nurturing, can blossom into deeper understanding.
We started this deep dive with a poem, a hymn to understanding.
Yeah.
And along the way, we've explored philosophy, consciousness, the nature of truth, and even touched upon some modern scientific insights.
Right.
It's been a rich and thought-provoking journey.
It's amazing how a few verses from an ancient hymn can spark such a wide-ranging exploration.
Right.
And ultimately, the poem reminds us that the pursuit of understanding is a lifelong journey, full of challenges, surprises, and moments of awe.
So as you go about your day, your week, your life, I encourage you to find those moments of quiet reflection. Allow your mind to settle your thoughts, to clear, and see what insights emerge. You might discover something new about yourself, about the world around you, or perhaps catch a glimpse of that unseen realm that the poet so beautifully described. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking that beautiful, elusive thing called understanding.